Hello, we from Group 3 want to explain about our topic. The title of our topic is Native Language Transfer. Before that, I want to introduce our group members. Celsie Theresia, Fhousep Yehezkiel, Nova Juwita Oktavia, Rabika, Syalom Aurellia Artamevia. Contrastive Analysis Hypothesis. Contrastive analysis is a way of comparing language in order to determine potential errors for the ultimate purpose of isolating what needs to be limned and what doesn't need to be limned in a second language limning situation. According to Ledo 1995, even languages as closely related as German and English differ significantly in the form, meaning, and distribution of their grammatical structures, and since the lemur tends to transfer the habits of his native language structures to the foreign language. We have here the major source of difficulty or ease in limning the structures of a foreign language. Those structures that are similar will be easy to limn because they will be transferred and may function satisfactorily in the foreign language. Those structures that are different will be difficult because when transferred they will not function satisfactorily in the foreign language and will therefore have to be changed. And the next material will be continued by the other member.
Hello, I'm Nova Juwita Oktavia. What is native language? Native language means when used with respect to an individual who is limited English proficient, the language normally used by an individual, or in the case of a child, the language normally used by the parents of the child. For evaluation and assessment, it is the language normally used by the child. If determined developmentally appropriate for the child by qualified personnel conducting the evaluation and assessment. When used with respect to an individual who is deaf or hard of hearing, blind, or visually impaired, or for an individual with no written language, it means the mode of communication that is normally used by that individual, such as sign language, braille, or their communication. Native language is one of the important factors that affect second language acquisition. However, compared with the heated discussion about the negative transfer of native language, the positive transfer of native language lacks due attention. Transfer was originally a psychological concept which referred to the influence of acquired knowledge, skill, even the methods and attitudes on learning new knowledge and skill. Simply speaking, learning transfer is the influence of the kind of learning and another. Language transfer refers to the influence of the language on learning another. According to the result of language transfer, it can be divided into positive transfer and negative transfer. The process of formal learning promoting the later learning is called positive transfer, while negative transfer refers to that the formal learning hinders the later learning. As an important factor affecting SLA, language transfer is a major research area. In essence, the difference between L1 and L2 produce negative transfer. On the contrary, the similar between them produce positive transfer. Difference between negative and positive transfer. Negative transfer refers to that the knowledge and thinking habit of native language seriously affect and hinder people's learning of second language. Many scholars believe that in the process of SLA under the influence of Native language students often have errors at all levels, such as pronunciation, vocabulary, syntax, writing, composition, and the other. For example, is when Spanish speakers don't use it when they say sentence such as it is sunny, it is a beautiful, and they say is sunny is blue. Positive. In the process of SLA, if L1 has more similarities with L2, it's easier to have a good command of the second language for second language learners. The process of language similar promoting SLA is called positive transfer. For example, Japanese and Chinese are similar in written form, French and English are similar in grammar, system and written form. Such language similarities uncomfortable help second language learner to learn a second language.
My name is Rabika. I will continue to explain the material. Conscious and unconscious transfer. Language transfer may be conscious or unconscious. Consciously, learners or unskilled translators may sometimes guess when producing speech or text in a second language because they have not learned or have forgotten its proper usage. Unconsciously, they may not realize that the structures and internal rules of the languages in question are different. Such users could also be aware of both the structures and internal rules, yet be insufficiently skilled to put them into practice and consequently often fall back on their first language. The next material will be presented by my friend. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Syalom Aurellia Artamevia, and I will continue our material. And now we're going to talk about positive effects of the native language on SLA. Some researchers believe the native language is bound to bring negative effects to SLA, and the interference or influence of native language should be got rid. Nowadays, all kinds of high school and universities are actively promoting our English teaching mode. This teaching mode is not limited only to English classes, and many professional courses are also required to do so, which is the typical reflection of neglecting the positive transfer of native language. The biggest advantage of this teaching mode is that it can create an English learning environment for foreign language learners, effectively develop students' sense of language to a large extent, and improve students' communication ability and intercultural communication consciousness. However, it will make students feel difficult to learn a foreign language, especially for students with poor academic performance. Lado attribute the main difficulties of foreign language learning to the differences between native language and target language. According to his hypothesis, the similarities between first language and second language tend to produce positive transfer. And before we ended the presentation, we have a conclusion. It is very important to make full use of first language transfer in the process of SLA. Only by overcoming negative transfer and making use of positive transfer can SLA be promoted. In daily teaching and learning, we should pay much attention to these following aspects. First, in terms of vocabulary, the key to English learning lies in the accumulation of linguistic knowledge. Through accumulation, students can classify the knowledge we have learned and summarize the similarities and the differences between first language and second language. And second, in terms of culture, language is kind of profound historical and cultural accumulation. That is to say, language cannot exist without culture. In the long history of human civilization, it is the habits and beliefs of like cultural convention that affect the language of our nation. Therefore, to understand the language, one must understand the culture, and to understand the culture, one must understand the language because they complement each other. This requires us to improve our sensitivity to cultural differences, avoid or reduce the impact of negative cultural transfer on English learning, so as to deepen the mutual understanding between different cultures. In this way, cross-cultural communication can be carried out smoothly. And yeah, that's all from us, and thank you for watching our presentation.